this live Cirrus Aircraft special event. And now, please welcome the President of Customer Experience, Todd Simmons.
Well, good evening. Good evening indeed. Thank you for joining us here tonight. If you're here at this very special event, either in person, we're right here in Orlando, Florida. We've got another event happening at the very same time out in Scottsdale, Arizona, or the global audience online waiting in anticipation of what I get the privilege to share with you this evening. Because in just a little while, we will all learn together that tonight is going to be historic for Cirrus. Our being here together tonight is a very big deal. In fact, let's cut to Scottsdale real quick for just a moment to see the folks out there that are also live.
Todd, thank you, and welcome from Scottsdale, Arizona. It truly is an exciting day for Cirrus Aircraft and the entire aviation community, those in aviation and those getting ready to make aviation a part of their life. We've got, similar to Orlando, we've got about 300 of our closest friends here in Scottsdale, and we're looking forward to having a great evening. So back to you. Let's get started.
Here we go. Yeah, given the importance of tonight's event and this news, we want to share it with you first because each of you are uniquely an important part of the Cirrus family. We use that word a lot. At Cirrus, we are so committed to aviation, to flying, and to family. Let there be no doubt, and I know there is not, that our collective passion and purpose comes as a surprise to no one in this room. But we are more specific and intentional at Cirrus in how we think about our aviation passion. In fact, it's more specific than just general aviation. Now, that's important, but general aviation is all aircraft flying. Basically, they're not military and not the airlines. What we are focused on at Cirrus Aircraft is personal aviation. We believe that we are the true creators of that category, the owners of that category. And by personal aviation, we mean all that the elevated personal flying and travel experience can be and should be. Because after all, we created the category. It started with Dale and Alan Klappmeyer and our focus on the pilot in the left front seat. Our tagline back then was perfect: the mind of an engineer, the heart of a pilot. But since then, we have evolved. Our first evolution was to extend the dream and our passion to the passengers. Passengers on board, the family, friends, colleagues, partners, spouses, business associates, loved ones, all the important folks on board the airplane, the second evolution. And tonight, we evolve again, making personal aviation even more accessible by making it easier, more intuitive, simpler, and safer. At Cirrus, we have a core set of values that collectively are our North Star, our beacon, our guidance, our navigation, that drive, inspire, and direct all that we do. These are innovation, safety, passion, trust, and integrity. And those 5 values, we live them every day. In fact, how do we do that? First, we live them through our employees and our employee family and being an employer of choice. We live them through all of you, the direct relationship we have, all the folks tonight, here, Scottsdale, online, customer, owners, and operators of Cirrus Aircraft, and all the partners that are part of the Cirrus personal aviation ecosystem. We live them through a developing, connected digital thread weaving throughout the company, our customers, and the community, a digital thread connecting all of those pieces. And we live them through a lifetime support via training, service, aftermarket, and an entire suite of tools and solutions that make owning and operating a Cirrus easy. Because we have a position, a specific and unique position and opinion on how we learn to fly, own, train, support, and engage with our aircraft products. This is how you're supposed to do it. And that ethos I just shared, those core values, how we live them at Cirrus have brought us a very long way in just 25 years. How long? How far has it brought us? Well, just this week, we are delivering the 10,000th Cirrus airplane into the marketplace. You heard that right, 10,000 in 25 years. It was just a short time ago last year, we delivered the 9,000th SR, and since late 2016, there are now 500 Vision jets in the wild. 500 Vision Jets since the end of 2016. We have 700 global training, service, and support partners around the world in the 65 countries where we deliver all those airplanes. And this is so impressive. That fleet I just named of 10,000, nearly 16.5 million hours flown on those airplanes. 16.5 million on those airplanes, and the best part of all, of those 16.5 million in those extremely rare occasions of the worst emergency, more than 250 people have been safely returned to their families when there was only one option left as uniquely on a Cirrus. I'm talking about caps. 250 people returned to their families. The SR series is the best-selling airplane in its category for now starting the 22nd year in a row as we move into the new year. And the Vision Jet is now the best-selling light jet in personal aviation, starting the 5th year in a row and counting. And on every single flight of that Vision Jet, there's a Collier Trophy on board. Let me pause just for a moment on training, because the airplanes get all the love. But we're changing that at Cirrus as Cirrus makes an investment and commitment to innovation that goes beyond just our best-selling aircraft. Just a few months ago at Oshkosh, many of you were there, we launched our all-new Cirrus Private Pilot Program, initial flight training curriculum and all the materials with it. So with incredible respect for John and Martha, we finally and totally and completely redefined the last 50 years of flight training. Here with iPad-based digital learning materials, rich media content that has been Cirrus-sized and more. All of it meeting our future customers and owners and operators where they are. We are meeting you on your terms and how you want to most effectively learn. We are the only OEM, the only airplane maker making this kind of investment today, all the way through advanced rating and certificates. And of course, this is on the heels of Cirrus Approach and Cirrus Embark and the Vision Jet SF50 type rating program and the full motion simulators in Knoxville, Tennessee. Cirrus is where people become personal aviators through a comprehensive, connected learning experience. And the Private Pilot Program is the latest example of how we are developing these same groundbreaking tools and solutions and programs just like our aircraft. So whether you're new to aviation, as so many have been just in the last 2 or 3 years, or already in aviation, or a current Cirrus owner, or you are aspiring to the Vision Jet, tonight is for you. Tonight is a culmination of our best thinking, our best engineering, our best creativity, our best listening to our customers, our world-class development and production teams in Grand Forks, North Dakota and Duluth, Minnesota. Absolutely the best of all at Cirrus, where aeronautics and physics are meeting advanced composite materials and pixels, where science meets art, and where personal aviation meets human emotion. We have taken all we know from 6 generations of the best-selling high-performance piston airplane in the world, and now harness both the design language and the flight deck architecture from the best-selling personal turbine in the world, the Vision Jet. So think of that for just a minute. For 20 years, it was the SR that inspired what the Vision Jet could be and would be and did become. And tonight, the Vision Jet for the first time helps return the favor to reimagine what we here know is the most important airplane in the world. It all culminates tonight with this.
It's all so vast. An expanse of possibility, potential. It's what pushed you to take a step, to pedal harder, to go for a drive. It was always about a new place, a new adventure, the next big thing just beyond your grasp. And so with each step, you've kept your world in reach, even as it grows. So here's to next steps. Introducing the Cirrus Aircraft SR Series Generation 7. G7 is a simplified, familiar platform suited to the modern traveler who values the ultimate personal travel experience. You could have stopped at the door. You could have stopped at the big hill. But you kept going. For you, the choice was personal. Personal aviation. It's time to extend your reach again. Shrink your world. Take back your time. It's time to fly for yourself. From the global leader in personal aviation design, safety, and comfort, the SR Series G7. Everything's in reach.
Would you please join me in the global introduction and premiere of the all-new Cirrus Aircraft Generation 7 SR-20, SR-22, and SR-22T series of high-performance aircraft. In bringing this airplane to market, this groundbreaking airplane to market in 2024, and it's delivering now. We have taken the world's most desired personal airplane and made it better. So much better by making it more approachable, more intuitive, more familiar. We've made it simpler, and by making it simpler, we have made it safer, all while elevating the unique ownership and operating experience that we know as the Cirrus Life. Generation 7 heralds a complete reimagination of the in-airplane, cabin, flight deck, aircraft, pilot, and passenger flying and travel experience. Now, I actually want to walk back. I'm going to ask Oscar, the cameraman, before I let you guys go, to join me for just a moment, is a walk over to the airplane, and I'm actually going to point out live some of these new features and upgrades and big changes that we have made. All right, Oscar, you ready? I'm coming up. And so, if you can see me on the camera here, the first thing I'm going to point to is actually how much lower the glare shield is, and in effect where we have pulled in the corners and compacted a little bit more of the operating instrumentation of the airplane. The net effect of that has been to enlarge the viewable area of the windscreen. So even the plane feels roomier. Now, Oscar, I want you to look here. We can see keyless push button start. And then, of course, you come across to the familiar toggle switches, but now avionics is automatic. Navigation lights are automatic. You don't even have to put those switches. The oxygen switch is up on the panel. And, of course, the hallmark of the airplane, I'm pointing to Garmin Touch Controller 1, which controls the PFD, Garmin Touch Controller 2, which controls the MFD. And those PFDs, and MFD, if they look larger, it's because they are 35% larger than the ones they replace. My Garmin colleagues are in the room tonight, and I want to give a shout out to them for the incredible integration. This is what partnership looks like between Garmin and Cirrus Aircraft. Moving on down to the center console, just below the touchscreens, you see the autopilot, you see cubby, phone and glasses, ECS, the environmental control system, your flap switch, your fuel pump, boost and prime, right to the throttle, and a redesigned center quadrant. I'm putting my hand on the fuel control lever, which when that switch is closed, fuel tank switching is now automatic. I hear you, automatic fuel tank switching. Look how much roomier the back feels, because a couple of things that we've done. We've changed out where headsets to a side panel right here, console panel, including both new headset jacks and power, and they take out a little of that compression that was from the cords there. And I have to say, what I think is my favorite, Oscar, if you can show it, all new hard molded cup holders are in both the front and the back. I tell you what, here's what we're gonna do. To tell the complete story, I'm gonna turn over to Ivy McIver, Executive Director of the SR Series product line, and after a short introduction by our CEO, Sean Nielsen, Ivy's gonna tell us the rest of the story about just how much change has been made in Generation 7. Let's roll.
The mission was always simple. Introduce more people to the joy of personal aviation by making it simpler and more approachable, and of course, more accessible. Your Cirrus should feel like an extension of your car and your personal electronics. And it should be intuitive and familiar and be wrapped in a warm and welcoming ecosystem that cares deeply about your comfort and your safety. You learn to crawl, walk, run, and drive. So why shouldn't learning how to fly be next on the list? That's always been the invitation communicated through the SR Series. You can fly on your own in the world's best-selling single-engine personal airplane. The SR Series is a next-generation product suited for modern travelers who value saving countless hours of travel time. It's designed to feel like your car, but in the shape of a high-performance airplane that extends your reach, recaptures your time, and transforms your life. That's been our mission for decades, and while our core product has continuously evolved and matured, I couldn't be more excited in this moment to share that the incredible Cirrus team is taking yet another major step forward in the evolution of personal travel. When you fly for yourself in a Cirrus, everything's in reach.
All right, we rolling? Looking good? We all set? It's a big deal. The SR Series has really become a transformational product for so many Cirrus customers over the years. Throughout the years, as we've matured and simplified and evolved the Cirrus, we've been able to invite a lot of people into aviation, many of whom never even thought about flying themselves or getting into aviation. It's my pleasure to extend that invitation even further and introduce the next generation of the world's best-selling personal aircraft. Introducing the Cirrus Aircraft SR Series G7. The most significant generational change in the product's history. While the exterior looks familiar, the interior has been completely redesigned. Consider this an SR Series relaunch of sorts. When people talk about aviation, it just instantaneously seems complicated. At Cirrus, the attitude is almost completely reversed. We want this to be so simple seeming and so approachable that everyone wants to do it. So when we looked at redoing the flight deck, introducing a new flight deck, not only did we want to align it with the Vision Jet and make it similar product line wise, so it's a seamless transition between the two products, we also wanted to introduce it to people who had no experience with aviation but have experience with tablets and phones. When you get in there, it's intuitively obvious what you need to do. There's a screen, there's buttons on the screens. It is within your reach because it is literally 4 screens. It doesn't have to be complicated to be cool. Simple is cool. For the first time, we're combining jet-class avionics with a very capable single-engine piston aircraft. Front and center, the 2 Garmin touchscreen controllers. The touchscreens are really your interface to the heart and soul of the airplane. So everything that you need to do to interact with the flight deck can be done from the touchscreen controllers. Everything you need to aviate and navigate, GTC1. Everything you need to communicate, GTC2. So it's very much like having a tablet on your flight deck with icons that you can just surf through and dictate what is on your PFD and your MFD. You can actually split both your PFD and your MFD to show 4 distinct different windows across your PFD and your MFD. And that is really cool from a screen real estate perspective. Typically, how we would use that split screen layout on the PFD is to show checklists or to show charts. And those are kind of the 2 primary things that you might display when you split your PFD. Very easy to toggle back and forth between those 2 things with the clickable scroll wheel that's right on your bolster panel. We've simplified the bolster panel by eliminating the unnecessary switches. Things like an avionics switch and a nav light switch. You need those things all the time. Now your oxygen switch is within the bolster panel, allowing us to integrate the oxygen system with the avionics panel and give you a digital readout right on your engine information strip. With G7, we're introducing 3D Safe Taxi. It'll show you things like hangars, buildings, and the actual taxiway signs, so you know exactly where you're going on the airport. Speaking of taxiing, we're introducing an all-new functionality called taxiway routing. Consider it your flight plan for your taxi route. You will be able to enter in all of your taxi instructions. Your magenta line is drawn on the airport, taxiways, hold short lines, crossing runways, right to the threshold of the runway so you're ready for takeoff. The wide screens offer much more screen real estate and a lot of flexibility for distribution of information. So the first thing you'll notice on the MFD is the redesigned engine information strip. We've also introduced very specific synoptic pages. Thus, the flight deck has the ability to graphically represent all of these systems to the pilot. So the PFD, the MFD, you're looking at 35% more screen real estate. You're looking at higher resolution. You can do so much with the screens.
Yeah.
Things like the power lever and the side yoke have really taken a lot of design cues from the Vision Jet to make them SR-like, but also very jet-like. In G7, we're introducing a first-in-class stick shaker, increasing your stall awareness and enhancing your overall safety. One of the most significant functional improvements of the G7 is the automatic fuel selection system. The system automatically switches your fuel selection from right to left without you even having to think about it. The G7 has now gone keyless with the introduction of a push-button start. With the turn of a knob and the push of a button, your engine is started and your keys stay in your pocket. An engine start is smoother and easier in all weather conditions with the new intelligent lightweight battery. Your battery has a smaller footprint and it's lighter, 20 pounds lighter. Because the battery is smart, it's monitoring itself to make sure you are getting the greatest performance out of your battery. In G7, you'll notice the flap switch looks a little bit different. The indications for the flap position and the speeds for the flap position are actually displayed up in the avionics. That system integration allows us to introduce a new safety feature, the flaps underspeed and overspeed protection. If you extend the flaps and you're going a little bit too fast, it will inhibit those flaps from deploying until you hit the flap deployment speed. On the low end of the airspeed tape, that flap airspeed protection is going to keep you from retracting the flaps when the plane is going too slow. Flap airspeed protection is there to protect your plane and to protect you. Of course, we focused on safety and comfort and convenience and all of these things, but there's an aesthetic component to both the interior and the exterior of the G7. We've added a storage cubby just below the autopilot where you can put your phone, a small tablet, snacks, sunglasses, basically anything that you need easy reach, it'll fit right in the cubby. We've relocated the environmental controls to just below the cubby within easy reach of the pilot and the front seat passenger. We amped up the accent lighting inside. It's very cool. There's accent lighting overhead down in the footwells. It's a really cool space. And of course, we can't introduce a new generation without having a portfolio of new awesome aesthetics, new colors, new exterior designs, and a multitude of combinations of exteriors and interiors. You can truly make this airplane exactly your own. You know, I've been in the industry for almost 2 decades. One of the things that gets me up in the morning and gets me excited to be in this industry is sharing personal aviation with people throughout the world who never thought personal aviation was something that they could incorporate into their life. When I learned how to ride a bike, it expanded my sphere of where I could go. When I learned how to fly, I could fly anywhere. There was a much bigger universe that was within my personal reach. I can get there. And I think the G7 is really that next step into inviting more people into this personal aviation space that we all love. With the G7, Cirrus Aircraft is inviting you to call us, to come fly with us. Experience personal aviation for yourself. The all-new Cirrus Aircraft SR Series G7. Everything's in reach.
That was an amazing moment just a few ago. Every one of you pulled your cameras up, and all this time I thought it was me. No, right back here. Before I invite us over to the airplane to get up close, and I want to wrap up by answering the most important question we can ask ourselves tonight, which is why? Why are we so relentless at Cirrus Aircraft in the pursuit of easier and safer and simpler and more capability and higher performance? It's because every new feature and new benefit, new utility, and new capability on G7 has had to earn its way onto the airplane. This does not mean that we have taken anything off or done less. On the contrary, we have added and focused, integrated, simplified, more features, more functions, and more capability onto this airplane than anyone thought possible, and achieved the most in any airplane so far at Cirrus Aircraft in G7, the most than any prior SR airplane. Ivy just shared some, but not even all of the details. So why not sit still, like so many others before us in aviation have, to get distracted, or stick with good enough? Because we are relentless in our pursuit of not only better, but simpler and easier and safer. Because at Cirrus, we believe that simpler is safer. And that's important because we design our airplanes so that you don't have to be a pro pilot to be a safe pilot. And how is G7 simpler? Because now everything is in reach. Everything in reach. Now, every airplane at Cirrus is made to own and operate the same way that you live the rest of your lives. Every single one of you just showed me your phone that you use literally the same as our daily lives. The simple, easy to understand within arm's reach. It reduces human latency to simplify the airplane. The touchscreens and integration of the performance into the touchscreens, if our phones were complicated, we wouldn't all have them. They're easy to use, and that's why they're so popular, and that's why moving touchscreens into this airplane, it makes it more intuitive. So even if we don't fly as pro pilots as often as we want to, it still feels familiar when you get back into this Cirrus. Now, you are better equipped as a pilot. With those new features, automation and integration that working together allows a pilot to focus more on critical flight operations and passenger comfort. When we can reduce the number of activities you have to do because the automation is working more in the background, that frees up human bandwidth, pilot capability to focus on those critical decisions. That's like having a digital co-pilot on board with every flight. And just the same, personal aviation is also in easy reach. The entire Cirrus support ecosystem, sales, services, maintenance, parts, training, finance, insurance, and more, all in easy reach to make ownership and operation easy. I think my personal favorite part to share, that I've actually already shared earlier tonight, but quickly, is that the inspiration for G7 was not hard to find because it was right in front of us, or I actually think that inspiration found us. As I said earlier, up to now, the Vision Jet has taken its design and operating cues from the SR series. Now that favor is returned as the jet is pushing to make the SR even better. Because what's the single most common line we hear from almost every single Cirrus Vision Jet pilot? It's so easy to operate. Now, that's G7. I'll close tonight by reminding us who we have built this airplane for and who we are thinking about as we drive higher and higher at Cirrus. First, this airplane is for you if you are new to aviation. This is the best first plane. It's aspirational, it's intuitive, it's safe, it integrates easily into your life. Now with the same interface as your phone, your boat, your car, your home. And the new to aviation ecosystem with the Cirrus Private Pilot Program is complete as of mid-2023. Number two, if you're currently in aviation, an airplane owner, including a current Cirrus owner, G7 elevates your travel experience. More approachable, safer because it's simpler, easier to get into and go even if you don't fly, and more capable all the time. And third, if you are aspiring to be a jet pilot, a Vision Jet pilot, this is now the perfect pathway, the near perfect alignment of all Cirrus airplanes from SR-20, 22, 22T into the Vision Jet, so that your path to ascend from the SR to the jet is now complete. With that, we end tonight where we started, which is G7 is the ultimate expression of what we stand for at Cirrus, personal aviation. To make everyone, pilots, passengers, family, friends, colleagues, loved ones, feel more confident and more comfortable, to make aviation more accessible, and to make flying even safer, because simpler is safer. Thank you all again here, Scottsdale, and a global audience online. Thank you again for an incredible night with an incredible new product from an incredible company. Generation 7, everything in reach. Good night. Now you can all go see it. Now you can go.